Hey everybody, what up? Welcome back. It's been a little bit. All right, so this video I'm talking about how ChatGPT has changed, I think, the course of development. And I don't know if it's just me personally or I'm really curious what the audience thinks. So if anybody can just comment, I appreciate that. I feel like I'm a little out of touch, even though I would describe my programming career as being more fulfilled than I can remember, actually. And the amount of learning I've done over the last year or two has been pretty immense, I would say. So I went from like .NET, Azure, and all that to just AWS and a lot of Node, TypeScript, and React still. So I'm doing a lot of that. And I just got to say that, like, I feel like I've learned a whole lot, but in that time frame, it almost feels like either the JavaScript fatigue wore out and we're not talking about the latest flavor of the week language or library every time or every day. And I don't know if that's me or if it's truly has died down, because it almost seems like to me like still everybody's either using Angular or React. And for the most part, it's still React. And then it seems like we're still using client-side libraries, so like MUI, Material UI has taken over on the React front, it seems like. And then things like Tailwind that I've always been against have sort of died out. So it was a new way of writing CSS, and I've always hated it because it was basically replicating what we already have, versus I think adding a whole lot of benefits. So that was always my main problem with that. And, I don't really hear about it all that much. So sometimes you get in circles, I feel like, in development where you're so micro-focused on, whatever project or small set of technology that's in front of you, and then you don't hear about so much of the rest. It would seem like to me everybody's always, the last year it's all been just ChatGPT and what OpenAI is doing. And then, obviously that situation that went on with the CEO being kicked out and then brought back in and a new board and all this. So it's just craziness going on over there. But ChatGPT has certainly changed the landscape of development. And I would actually agree at this point that a lot of junior developers are going to be in trouble. However, you can make yourself junior to senior very, very quickly with the use of these tools. I'm actually pretty shocked when it came to using them day to day. So a lot of times ChatGPT doesn't have the solution for me, but I would have to say like 8 times out of 10, it's more helpful than Google searching, because Google searching, you might find the latest, in some sort of GitHub issue or something like that. But I've said for a long time, if the answer is not on like Stack Overflow, it's like GitHub. And then these days it's ChatGPT. And then fourth in line, and I think it's a distant fourth, is like Google searching, looking at somebody's outdated blog with a bunch of search engine optimization text you have to wade through and all that to find the answers that you're looking for. And a lot of times they're just not there. And like, I just feel like that's a way that's on the it's on the way out as far as how we develop now. So when it comes to my productivity, I think that ChatGPT has helped quite a bit, actually. And a lot of times it's just simply for like tedious tasks like writing unit tests or can you inspect this line of code and give me your opinion on what it's doing. And sometimes I think you can get into a situation where you can be a little bit lazy, though. Like you're plugging things into ChatGPT that you pretty much already know, or you get it to do something so simple like, hey, I need you to change single quotes to double quotes or something like that. But for what it does, I mean, I think that's great, honestly. It's just another tool in a toolbox that's going to change development. And I still compare it to something like having more modern IDEs that we now use to debug your code, and then the browser enhancements that have come along over the last 10 years or more that make debugging everything client-side so much easier when it comes to like network and performance. And then just, being able to step through and debug and look at your styling and all that. So it's really amazing how these tools have gotten better and better. And you would think that our productivity would skyrocket. But I think as productivity increases, the complexities increase at the same time. So you look at nowadays, like even what this website is doing right here, there's a pretty looking website. although ChatGPT itself is like somewhat of a dated looking thing. But just having video inside the web, right? Like we didn't have plans for any of this stuff initially. We didn't really, I don't think, anticipate that JavaScript, CSS, and HTML would end up, doing so much that it does today. So it's just, I think it's amazing how everything's sort of come along. But all that said, I don't feel like there's a big, there's not a whole lot of discussion, in my opinion, about just some new way of doing things. Like, what is going to be the next React successor? Is there going to be one? What's going on with Rust? I mean, I heard so much about Rust, but like lately it just feels like I don't hear as much about it. WebGL was supposed to be something that was going to be changing the way that we do things, and we would have a lot more like, game type experiences that exist in the browser, or virtual reality for that matter. I still I'm impressed with virtual reality, but like you look at the latest that we have, like with the Quest 3, it's a good bang for your buck. But my son has the Index. I mean, I've used that. Rift S, all these things though, they're still rather niche though. Even the PlayStation VR 2, I have that for the PS5, and like they're cool, right? But they're still bulky. Takes a lot of time to kind of get into them. So it's going to be interesting, I think, with Apple coming onto the VR market, and whether or not we're going to get more AR, VR type stuff. And for the most part, everything that I've seen for the AR related front is still just sort of, it's sort of like clunky and just not something that's mainstream yet. So sometimes it feels like things are moving very slowly. But I think that's just the way that it feels when you're in the moment, right? Like during the early 1900s, like there was probably, I don't know that they all felt like, hey, my mind's blown every other day with the the advent of like airplanes and rocket ships and satellites and all this. And I mean, maybe it was, but I think that things probably moved pretty slow then too. Because if I really look back on the 2000s, I mean, we were just getting into web development, right? And Google goes public as a major search engine that sort of changed the landscape of technology. And then we get, smartphones, a lot of big data stuff going on. And then we get like virtual reality. And then now I would say that we're, getting into this generative AI, ChatGPT type stuff. And of all those things, I would have to say that this may have the potential to be bigger than the smartphone, probably the biggest thing since the internet. And I don't know that it's bigger than the internet, though. I don't know. We'll have to see. But for right now, though, I do think it's going to be something that is just another game changer of how we operate as humans in society. And like, we're going to use it to be more efficient, but I don't know that we're just going to move the goalposts, is I still think what is going to end up happening here. So, yeah, just curious what you guys think. I mean, has there been a slowdown in the amount of new technologies that we're supposed to learn? It felt like I was I was being told to learn something new every other day, and now it's not the case. I feel like it's still the core technologies like TypeScript, React, Node is still crushing it on the server side. And, things like PHP are still slowly withering and dying away, like Perl. And, the UI libraries that we have, I still think are rather lacking. But I don't know, man. I used to hear about all these JavaScript frameworks, and I just don't see them talked about as much these days. And what's going on with Rust and Golang, and Python's still killing it, obviously, for the AI world. But other than that, it just feels like after several years of maybe not being as in tune as I used to be as far as what the latest stuff was going on, it doesn't seem like all that much has changed to me, except for the advent of ChatGPT and how we're using it pretty much day to day in the programming field. All right, so I plan on coming back to YouTube. I actually miss making videos and just talking about the latest. So I want to try to get back into this, and that's my plan. So we'll see how it goes. All right, everybody, take care. Have a good day and a great night. Talk to you later. Bye. If you're learning to code, I recommend you check out my website, codehawk.com. My courses are fast, to the point, without the fluff that you'll find on other competitor sites like Pluralsight and Udemy. One of the reasons why you'll want to learn with me is that I'm a self-taught engineer myself. I never went to school for any of this stuff. I've been doing it for over a decade now professionally. The biggest reason you should use CodeHawk is that it's one price for everything. I try to make this as affordable as possible. Instead of having to purchase 15 to 20 different courses on Udemy or an expensive monthly subscription to Pluralsight, it's one price for everything on CodeHawk. Front end, back end, full stack. It has courses on all the latest web development technology. The courses range from beginner to advanced. So if you want to learn the latest web technology, give CodeHawk a look. There's demos for all of the courses that are out there right now. In addition, there's also my personal vlogs, which I'll be adding more to. So content that I don't release to YouTube is available on CodeHawk.